My journey has been from total chaos to absolute um, excitement, enlightenment, just pure joy. Something I never thought that was just possible for me. Something I never thought was something that wasn't supposed to be in my life. For me, I was born in Vereeniging in 1973, and my father was an alcoholic. And I have three brothers, one older and two younger than myself. I was taken away from my parents when I was 6 years old. My dad used to beat my mom. I can't remember much from my childhood. I've blocked out a lot. I was taken to my mom's brother and his wife in East London. My eldest brother went to my father's sister, and my brother younger than me came with me, and my youngest brother stayed somehow with my parents. So I was living with them, and it was very unpleasant because his wife wasn't a very nice person, and I don't think she really wanted us there. She had a son, and he was married, and they just had a baby. And in the area where we lived, the bus would drop us off after school, and I had to walk past his house every day. There was no other way to get to her house. And he was a security guard at the prison, so he would work shifts. And some days he would be at home, and then he would call me into the house and molest me. This was when I was first molested.
Helen and her brother were taken away and sent to Port Elizabeth, to the Protea place of safety, where they stayed for about 9 months. They were then put onto a train and sent to a children's home in King Williamstown.
But I remember, like, in Protea place of safety, the girls were not allowed to wear shorts or pants, like you had to wear dresses all the time. And I remember hating this, And when I got to the children's home, and they picked us up at the train station, I remember the first thing I asked was, are the girls allowed to wear shorts here? Because I hated dresses. So I was a real little tomboy.
So Helen loved the children's home and was grateful for ending up there.
If you couldn't go to your parents for weekends and holidays, you would get families that volunteered, to take on children for this time. So the first family that I went to, also a young couple, he molested me. And we would do, group sessions and one-on-one sessions if the social worker in the children's home felt that, a certain child needed a little bit more attention. And it came out in my drawings on my one-on-one session, because I was too scared to say something for the fact that I might get another hiding. And adults, when you're young, adults speak the truth. You're supposed to trust the adult, kind of thing. So I never said anything, and it came out in my drawings. And then they asked me, like, is anything happening? And I was super scared to say something, and they were like, just really loving and caring. And then I came out, and so I never went back to them.
However, there was a stage around 15 or 16 where Helen's father had stopped drinking, and she was allowed to go and visit her parents every second weekend. Leading up to that, her parents would come and visit her at the children's home so that she could get to know them a little bit. She became friends with the children in the neighborhood, and they started to drink, and she started to smoke. And after about a month or two, she really didn't enjoy this havoc in her life. And she called the children's home and asked if they would take her back, because she felt that she needed the boundaries there. And so she remained in the children's home until she was 18. Just before Helen's 18th birthday, she met her first boyfriend, and she found a lot of security with him. He was a bouncer on the weekends, and she met him at a club, and he was an accountant during the day. 1 year later, she moved in with him, and they were together for 18 months when she fell pregnant. They then got married. She had always looked at women differently, but didn't know what gay really was. She felt her feelings towards men were negative due to being molested. Today, her relationship with her ex-husband is very good.
And he loved me very much, you know. He's like, we still speak from time to time today, you know. There's no animosity or anything between us, and he's an amazing guy, you know. But I just couldn't love him the way he wanted me to love him. And I think not just because I was gay, I think it's because I didn't know how.
Yes.
You know, I didn't know how to receive love or give love. And still today, you know, I've just recently entered into a relationship, and it's tough, you know, because that 6-year-old little girl, you know, what I recently found out now is like that 6-year-old little girl comes out, and she associates love with pain, distrust, you know. It's like, so she pulls away, and it's like, I'll hurt you before you hurt me, you know. And I think, like, I'm doing like a little bit of side counseling on this because I think that comes from, you know, the house mothers and fathers coming, and just as a little girl, as I open up and I trust, you know, then they leave. Then the next one comes, you know, and then I build up, open up trust, and then they leave. So I think that's kind of what I associate a relationship or love with today. You know, like Helen's sitting here, 4.5 years clean, she can do life.
Yes.
She can do, you know, she's been taught how to do that through the 12 steps. Like, she can do work relationships, she can do friendships, you know, she can do sponsee, like she can do those relationships.
Yes.
Helen, in an intimate relationship,
Yes.
she gets lost, you know, she gets very fearful.
Yes.
She doesn't know how to do that. And like, slap me around and swear at me, I can do, you know, I can do a toxic relationship very well because that's what I'm used to.
Yes, exactly.
But a healthy relationship, it's like I don't know what to do with this. It's like a hot potato in my hand. So 5.5 years into the marriage, I was working at a pub, and I met this gay girl there. And she would come there and flirt with me, and I was like, and I loved it, you know. And I thought, well, I'm just gonna kiss this girl, and if I like it, then I know, like, you know. And I loved it. So it wasn't long after that I left my ex-husband.
Yes.
That was like such a very difficult thing for me to do because I was very insecure, extremely shy, you know, didn't know how to make decisions for myself. People pleaser is what I did,
right.
You know. And so I think that's when my disease of addiction really kicked off, because I moved into the hotel and I drank for 6 months non-stop.
Wow.
I went to work drunk. After work, I'd sat drinking till the pub closed because I couldn't walk into my hotel room and the silence and the emptiness, because I would have turned around and gone back to something that I didn't fit in. And my truth is I walked away from my kids as well. You know,
that's quite hectic.
I did not. Yeah, it's that was like, today I can look back and I know it was so selfish and self-centered of me, because it was all about what Helen wanted in that moment, you know. And again, an amazing husband, you know, at the time. So that's when I came out. That's when I started living my gay life, so that, you know, if you can call it that. And I took my first drug when I was 23, and it gave me what I thought was confidence. You know, it's like I changed overnight. I couldn't have a conversation with somebody because I was so shy, so insecure, so scared I'm going to say the wrong thing, the stupid thing, you know. And when I took that first drug, which was my drug of choice, it was, I could speak to people, you know, I had this amazing confidence. And then it just took off, and I just wanted more and more, and I wanted to take more drugs so that I could feel like that all the time. So that's where my journey started with drugs.
Helen is a recovering addict. She considers herself, well, she is a gay girl, and that's what she calls herself. So, Helen, we got up to the point where you are now 23 years old, and you had left your husband.
Yes.
And your kids.
Yes.
You were living in a hotel. You were drinking all day, practically. Yes. You were even drinking during work, after work. And you'd also started taking drugs.
Correct.
So by 1996, you knew you were a gay girl. Tell me what that meant for you in 1996.
Well, if I think back, I remember being very nervous and scared because I myself didn't know what gay was. I didn't know what it really meant, because it was a subject that wasn't spoken about, and also you didn't really see it out in public. So I believed at that time that the way I looked at women, like before I came out, till the day that I came out, that it was maybe because I was molested. And that's why I looked at women very differently to the way I looked at men. So I remember when I came out and I was working in the bar in the hotel that I was staying in, and obviously, lots of regulars in the pub. And I remember they knew me as married with children. Now I don't have a husband and I have a girlfriend, and I remember being extremely shy, very nervous about it. And not really knowing how to handle it. So,
and it was very much a taboo.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And what about public displays of affection? I mean, was that even possible?
No, not from my side. So the partner that I was with at that time, she was openly gay. To her family as well, and also to all the patrons in the bar. They knew her as a lesbian, and they accepted her as she is, but for me it was, they knew me as Helen, the married woman with 2 kids, and now all of a sudden, she's gay. So I think that was very, very different for me. I didn't know how to come out.
Yeah, so tell me, how did you do that?
Well, she did it basically, because she was open to everybody, like that's how it came out. And then customers were like, Helen, is this real? And then I had to say yes, but it was something I would say yes, laugh about it, and then walk away. From my side, I didn't want to discuss it any further. So I guess I was kind of in denial about it at the same time as feeling free.
Yeah.
So it was really hard in the beginning because I got teased a lot as well.
Really? What did people say to you?
Well, my friends just teasing me, about dildos and, strap-ons and all sorts of things. So, and back then, I mean, I was only drinking then. I hadn't taken drugs yet.
Okay.
So I was still extremely shy, insecure, so, to be talking about things like that, it's like something that I just didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Or I didn't know how to do, rather.
Because I was actually listening to a webinar the other day, and this woman was talking about gender identity and just talking about pronouns and things like that. And she actually said, if you close your eyes and you think about gay women and gay men, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? And for me, the question is, well, it used to be anyway, how do they have sex?
Yes.
Other people the question, what was the question that came to their minds generally if you do a survey was, I can't remember what it was, but I'm sure that in those days, and maybe even today, the most common question is, how do you have sex?
Yes, what not to ask a gay girl.
Exactly. And it's not really about the quality of the love, and because it's really, people are people.
Yeah.
And the way we love is all the same.
Yeah.
And not only that, the experiences we have in relationships are all the same.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, like them teasing me, you know, I was extremely shy about it and asking that exact question. You know, come on, Helen, like tell us now, you know. And after a couple of drinks, you know, like then you start feeling a little more relaxed, and you know, so yeah, it was good days for me, fun times, you know, very freeing, but also very. As I was coming out of one secret, one shell, I didn't know at the time, but I was going into another prison, so to speak, you know, chains into my addiction at the same time without realizing it, you know. But the sex, yeah, I remember I couldn't wait to have sex with her.
Okay.
Like I really just wanted to see what it was like, you know. But yeah, it was a great experience, you know. But yeah, today I don't get that question anymore.
Yes.
You know, I haven't had that question in a long time. I think those questions you get in a pub.
Yes.
You know, not. I haven't, since I've been in recovery 4.5 years, and I'm not in pubs anymore. I've never had that question. So I think that's just like an area where you'll definitely get that question.
Yeah, and I imagine, and maybe you can correct me, but I imagine it's because there's so much more out there and so much more information also on the big screen.
Yes.
So many more explicit love scenes between two women.
Yes.
That it leaves nothing to the imagination anymore.
Absolutely.
And porn.
Yeah.
You want to see lesbian sex.
Yeah.
You just click on it on porn, and there we go. You can.
Yeah. But I think also because it's such an open thing today, you know, kids are coming out in school today.
Yes, exactly.
And they've been accepted in school already, you know, where, I mean, when I was in school, it was hell no.
Yeah.
You know, it was definitely, I never met anybody in school that was gay. Never. You know, the first gay girl that was openly gay that I met was this lady in the pub. And that's many years, you know, after school as well. So yeah, I think because it's just so much more accepted and open today from a younger age, you know, things have really changed, which is great.
And after your first sexual experience with her,
Yeah.
do you remember feeling free, guilt, shame?
Yeah. A little bit of everything, you know, definitely free. And with that freedom, I think it was more like I kind of found my place.
Yes.
You know, and that's what I really felt, you know, and because sex with my ex-husband, you know, was, and this is nothing towards him, but it was a horrible experience for me. It really was. I never climaxed once, you know, with him, and I was with one other guy before him, and never. I hated it. It was just, it felt like the norm thing to do, you know, what is expected. But with her, it was a total different feeling, the whole experience, you know. So definitely felt free. And then afterwards, I remember not the first time, I don't think, but a couple of times after that, we were lying naked and she was sleeping, you know, and I was looking at her breasts and I was thinking, this is wrong.
Really?
This is so wrong, you know, she's a girl, I'm a girl. So there was a lot of guilt, you know, and confusion, and but I think I just got over that very quickly because I didn't know how to feel, or I would have a feeling and then I didn't know how to deal with that feeling, so I would suppress it.
And the feelings that you suppressed, did you use alcohol? to suppress those feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. Alcohol and just like switching off completely, to what's going on inside of me.
Yeah.
And that was pretty easy to do, but I think that was just, years of doing it. So it was really easy for me. It was like a switch on and off.
Yeah, and I also imagine having sex with your husband and the uncomfortable feeling, the terrible feeling that you describe is, I wonder if that was related also to the molestation that you experienced as a child.
I'm sure it does or did. Like only today at the age of 47, I'm now seeking psychological help to deal with that trauma because, Helen sitting here is fine. And I truly believe that I didn't need to go back and I didn't need to deal with all of that stuff,
Yes.
because I'm okay today.
Yeah.
But now, going into this relationship, all of this stuff is starting to come up. So now I'm realizing, okay, and through my amazing sponsor and counselor, I'm realizing that I need to deal with this trauma, in order for me to be a better partner for myself, and for her. So right now, that's my next journey. And Monday is my first counseling session around that. So I'm super excited to grow that part of me. Coming into recovery, it's been an amazing journey of self-discovery, self-love, self-respect, and just really learning who Helen is.
Yeah.
Because I've suppressed Helen for so many years. Like, I don't know who she is, what she does, likes, what she doesn't like, kind of thing. So every day is a new experience and a new learning curve for me, and I love it. So whatever I need to do to heal that part, I'll do it. But the sex with him was. I remember lying all the time and just saying, like, I like it, like, fast and rough, so that it could be over and done with. And and so, and that's what we did,
And that's where the disconnection comes in.
Yeah.
And that's what okay, so I'm not really getting into therapy now, but I can imagine that, excuse me, as a child, there's just this absolute, you don't understand it.
Yeah.
You don't understand what's going on. And there's a disconnect from self completely.
Absolutely.
During the event, after the event, there's confusion.
Yeah.
But I always remember the saying, and I I love it so much, is that the opposite of addiction is connection.
True.
And I suppose that that's probably what you're about to learn.
Yes, definitely. So I've learned also. So I really thought that, that I didn't have to go back with that, and I'm okay, and I can deal with whatever comes my way. But now this new relationship, it's like there's different slices. So my life to me at the moment is like a cake, but instead of taking slices out, I'm putting slices back, so, like I can do work relationships, friendships, those relationships I can do, I can do life in that way as Helen alone. But Helen with somebody else has no idea how to do that, So now we're working on the second slice of the cake,
Love that.
And I believe when I'm healed there, and it's a process. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it's okay. I'm prepared because I want that.
Yeah.
And, then after that, something else I'm sure will come up, and then we'll just work on that. And so, yeah, it's a journey of definitely, connection in different slices.
Yeah. And that's what I love about recovery, is that it's layered.
Yes.
That you are always learning more and more and more. And even if you start your step work from step one again, you learn different things over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's life as well. That's the journey, the beautiful journey about life, is that even at 50 now, I'm still learning new things about myself, which is just fantastic.
It is.
And then it's like, really? I can't believe I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, Helen, let's get back to your story. In terms of living your taboo, not being comfortable in your skin, possibly also having to use alcohol. And you say that drugs came a little bit after that.
Yes.
Trying to fill the hole, trying to deal with the difficulty of leaving your kids, living a life that you weren't necessarily congruent with, didn't make sense. Also, just the pain of having grown up under such difficult circumstances. Can you share with us what a life of drug abuse, alcohol abuse was like? How did you finance it? Were you working? Just describe the unmanageability of addiction.
So at first it was a lot of fun, and my first drug, that I took became my drug of choice. And I absolutely loved it that night. Like I felt reborn, and I felt like I was made to do this. And I believed that, and I wanted to be that person again. So I couldn't wait for the next weekend to take drugs again so I could be that person. And the more, I started partying and taking the drugs, it's like the more I started changing at the same time as well. It's like I became confident, what I thought was confidence, but I could hold a conversation. I wasn't scared to walk into a shop kind of thing. So back then, I stole money. I was working at a shop and a supermarket, and I was a cashier. So I stole money to fund or to use my money for drugs, and then I lost that job. So I didn't lose it. I left just before they figured out it was me. I resigned, and my girlfriend at the time, this was my second girlfriend, so she was a prostitute. And so I was working in the bar after I left the supermarket, back in the bar, the same bar. And so she wouldn't really give me money for drugs, So again, I would steal money out of the bar, not ring up certain drinks, just so that I have enough to buy whatever I needed for the weekend. We were together for 5 years.
Long time.
Yeah, it was a long time, but I did not, because I didn't know how to do relationships. So my friends and the partying, that came first. So she didn't drink, she didn't do drugs, she didn't smoke, nothing like that, but she was a prostitute. And I remember that kind of broke me, and that was very hard for me to get used to the idea that somebody else was touching my partner, even though I didn't know how to be the loving partner, But we broke up eventually, and then I had no job. I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? And I remember very clearly having a conversation with myself about being a prostitute. And I was like, okay, and I was living in East London at the time. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, can't go back and live with my parents. Like, that's just a big no-no. Like I want to still party. I want to do what I want to do. So one side of my conversation was, no, Helen, you can't do it. It's not the right thing. And the other side of my conversation was, well, you've been molested so many times. It's just the body, like it's nothing there that you love or respect. So that's how I justified my decision. And then I packed up and I moved to George, and nobody knew me there. I didn't know one soul there. So I learned. So when I was in East London, I would always hang out at the escort agencies, because a lot of my friends were prostitutes, and I would drink in the pub. So nobody could find out that this is what I'm going to do. So I hid it from everybody. And I would put an ad in the newspaper, and I would book into a B&B, and customers would come to me at the B&B. And in the beginning, I started using drugs because it was really hard. And I remember the first customer, like I cried my eyes out,
Sure.
But I knew also Like I just had to do it. You know, it's that switch again, on and off switch, you know, crying, feeling it, and then like, no, you can't cry, get over it, you know, kind of thing. So that's how I worked, you know, and then I made friends in George, and everybody would ask me, what am I doing? You know, and I'm in sales, you know. We were selling, we just didn't say what.
Of course.
And so then I met my next girlfriend there. You know.
And were there other sex workers who were also gay women?
A lot in East London.
Really?
Most of them were, you know. A lot of the customers didn't know. Like, I didn't also share that with my customers.
But did you share it among yourself, you know, among
Yeah.
the other women there working?
Oh, yes. Yeah, everybody knew.
Oh, really?
Yeah, everybody knew.
Was there camaraderie? Was there support? Was there any emotional connection with the other women there?
Not really, no. I think, you know, like most of them had partners, you know, but it was just a drinking spree. Drinking and doing drugs. So the ladies that worked in the escort agencies, they were always drunk or on something, always. And I could never see myself doing that. So in a way, it's like, you know, when you're coming to recovery and you're like, and you start comparing your addiction to others' addictions, like, well, at least I didn't do that.
Yeah.
You know, at least I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, at the end of the day, it's the same. It doesn't matter what you did or didn't do.
Exactly.
So I found myself thinking I was better than them because at least I'm not working in an agency, you know, like I'm private kind of thing. So yeah, it was just one secret after the next. That was my life at that time, you know, so many different masks, this person with these people, that person, you know, but nobody knew that I was a prostitute. Nobody. So I would go to East London from time to time to go visit the friends, and they thought I was working in a pub in George.
Right.
But in George as well, you know, my next girlfriend that I met, I found a little gay club in George and made lots of friends there, you know, and there I could finally be openly gay without being shy because nobody knew me. So I could paint this picture of Helen, who I wanted Helen to be to others, you know, without having people say, no, but you're lying right now, you know, because they know me.
Yes.
So that was perfect for my disease, you know, and for my being a prostitute and just doing what I wanted to do and painting this beautiful picture of Helen.
Absolutely.
You know? So yeah, I mean,
Sure.
it was good times still.
That sounds tiring for me.
It was, but you know what? Today, if I look back and I'm like, oh, that's crazy, man, you know, totally. But the drugs weren't unmanageable.
Not at that stage.
Not at that stage.
Right.
You know? So I could manage, you know, living this person here, living that person there. But it was still, you know, the secret that I had in George was nobody could find out that I'm a prostitute. I'm gay, I do drugs, I party, here I am. You know?
And how long did that last for?
Well, I was in George for about 5 years. My partner, she didn't know either, you know.
Wow.
So when it started feeling a little close to home, I left and I traveled. So again, I was in sales. Then I would travel to the next town, booking at a B&B there for 2 weeks, make money, and then go home for 2 weeks. Home being George now. And that's what I did, months after months after months.
And she never was suspicious about your lifestyle, your nights out, your...
No. So this is how crazy it was. It's like I looked at me being a prostitute like an office job. So I never took drugs while I was working.
Sure.
Never, because I didn't like the feeling, you know. So when I was sober and not on anything, I could do the switch.
And it's such a interesting thing because when you watch movies and, you know, Hollywood portrays prostitution as, so you get high to avoid having to really be with these men and have to feel anything.
Yeah.
Whereas yours was
Totally opposite.
It's completely opposite.
Yeah.
You were sober
Yeah.
when you were
Yeah.
being incongruent with yourself.
Yeah. And then I would work 8 to 5. That's it.
And what about the sex? Was it sometimes enjoyable? Were you ever able to lose yourself in it?
No, never.
Just a job.
It was just a job, and I was the worst prostitute ever. You know?
Really?
Yeah, for me it was the money. That was it. There was nothing else about it. It was in and out. You know, that's it.
Use the pun.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, 10, 20 minutes and they were gone. And I wasn't there to build a relationship. I wasn't there to give you the girlfriend experience. I wasn't there to get to know your name. It was nothing like that. It was, hey, come in, money on the table, please. You know, that's it. And it sounds crazy, but that's truly how it was, you know. And I had a sugar daddy as well, you know, and obviously with having a sugar daddy, you know, he would want more. And I came up with a crazy story that I was gang raped.
Sure.
Like, you know, so I don't do, you know, no kissing, no that girlfriend experience stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And then he paid for a lot of my drugs, you know, my rent. He bought me a car, you know, so I didn't really have to work that much. But by then, my drug use was every day, you know. So yeah, then it started getting a little unmanageable.
Yeah. Helen, we just have to press pause while I do an ad break, please. Thank you. So we all know that summer bodies are built in winter, but it can easily be said than done. So why not join fitness expert Mo on the Health Fix with Mo for an inspirational weekly fitness podcast show for fitness novices. Mo chats to the best in local health and fitness experts in an effort to get information to help you achieve your aesthetic fitness and health goals. So subscribe on YouTube, listen on any good podcast platform, or find it on www.yourmedia.co.za. Your Media, #where you are. So our light is just, Helen, would you mind just doing a little, oh, there we go. Thanks so much. Okay, so we were now with your sugar daddy and all the things that he bought you. Something that's interesting for me is now you go back and have a physical sexual relationship with your girlfriend after you've been with these men. Were you able to enjoy the sex then?
So with women, it's definitely enjoyable for me, but it's also something that still today I battle with doing it or having sex on a regular basis. So it feels like it's an effort for me to get intimate with somebody, you know, even though I love that person. But it's to get there. That is the problem for me, you know, which I'm sure I will work on now, you know. So for her, yeah, it was mainly, you know, weekends that we would have sex because then I wasn't working, you know. And obviously, you know, in the week it would be, if we did it was at night, you know, and after every customer, like I did shower. So it, you know, yes, I get that it's really not cool, you know, it's not good, for a lack of a, like, I just can't find the right word. But she did eventually find out though. She found my ad in the paper because towards the end she started suspecting something, and then she did find out. Yeah, that was also a terrible day.
How did that go down?
A lot of tears, you know. But she had like known my background, and I think like she really loved me, you know, and I think I kind of played that so that she didn't walk away from me. And Yeah, we eventually did break up, but we were like on and off for about 2 years after that, you know. Like she loved me and I loved her, but she couldn't be with me after finding out, you know, what work I was doing. I also didn't tell her the full story. I lied and said that I was just doing massages and pelvic massages because she was already hurting. And I suppose I was ashamed to tell her the whole truth, you know, and I suppose I used it as an excuse back then. It's like, I want to protect you. So you don't need to know the whole truth, you know, when at the end of the day, I was just protecting myself.
And it's so interesting that your girlfriend before you went into prostitution was also a prostitute,
Yes.
and you couldn't reconcile the two. You couldn't
No.
deal with that. So,
No. Yeah, so the tables just turned, you know?
Yeah. And then, so this continued for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then how did you get out of the prostitution? What was this the flip, the change?
Well, I was a prostitute for a lot longer than 5 years. So
Okay.
I lived in George for 5 years.
Right.
Then I moved to Cape Town. You know, as an addict, we do the geographicals, you know, because it's the town that's the problem. It's the people in the town that's the problem. It's the drugs in the town that's the problem. So let me move where I don't know anybody and start over kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, same mentality. So that's what I did. But I was still a prostitute, ad in the paper, you know, and but I wasn't using then. You know, I was drinking, but I was a social drinker.
Right.
And then I went to the gay club in Cape Town, made some friends, still wasn't using, just drinking. And that lasted probably about 18 months. But again, nobody knew that I was a prostitute. And then in the club one night, I took drugs again. And then it just escalated again, you know, my drug of choice. And I was loving the life in Cape Town, you know, and I was single for 5 years. And then I met a young lady, and this is how sick I was. But I didn't meet her there, but I'd known her since she was 13 years old. And she was the half sister of my ex. And we had been friends for many years. So she came to Cape Town and we were visiting, and then we got together. And by now I was so broken, you know, spiritually, mentally, like emotionally, that I was using drugs every single day again. And I just could not stop myself. And I didn't want to live that life anymore, but I didn't know how to stop. So when I met her, she was like my savior, and I latched onto her, you know, when I met her in Cape Town again. And then we moved in together, but not in Cape Town. And she got me out of it, you know. So in this little town that we moved to, they actually didn't have a Uber or private taxi. And so I thought, great opportunity. You know, we're seeing people walk around with their checkers bags. So that's what I did. Made a little flyer, you know, and I really thought, this is it. I'm out of it, you know, like, thank you, God. Things are going to change for me. And that did really well. You know?
You started to become a personal taxi.
Yeah. I had
Wow.
my own little taxi business with my car, and
Wow.
did super well. And it felt like massive mountains were taken off my shoulders because I wasn't a prostitute anymore.
Sure.
You know, the freedom that came with that. And she knew, but again, not the full truth, just massaging, pelvic massaging. So she knew about that, you know.
Yeah.
And then she got a loan, and then we opened up a Mr. Video in this little town.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and she did her job, and I ran the video shop and had somebody driving my car, you know, and things were going really good.
Yeah.
And for about a year. And then one day we just had a massive fight around the shop, and she kicked me out the shop. And then I was like, well, you know, I'm just not meant to live a good life.
Sure.
And I found drugs easily, you know, and I started using again. And this time it was really, really bad, You know, I was spending about 1,200 rand a day on drugs.
And in those days, it was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And stealing, not being a prostitute though, you know, but stealing the money out of the shop, thinking that I'm entitled to that money because I've worked here for so many months and you haven't paid me a salary, you know, so I'm entitled to it. I'll take it. You know, again, just justifying me stealing, 'cause that's what it was. And things got really rough between her and I verbally abused her completely. You know, I broke her down. And I lifted my hands to her. You know, one night I was drunk and I did hit her. And we eventually broke up. And I was so broken that I couldn't go back to being a prostitute. There was no ways, you know, and I had nowhere else. Like I'd run out of ideas on what to do to survive, to live, you know, to get my drugs, to do anything really. And she had gone home for the weekend to Cape Town. And I just thought, okay, I'm just going to use, I mean, in these years, I tried to kill myself. I don't know how many times, you know, because I hated myself so much, but I didn't know how to stop using. I didn't know how to stop hurting myself or others, you know, in intimate relationships. So I tried again that weekend, you know, I put a hose pipe in the exhaust and I drank a bottle of brandy in the car because I thought, well, instinct's going to kick in when I can't breathe and I'm going to open up the door and that's not what I want. So because I was using as well, you know, so I drank a bottle of brandy so I could pass out and then hopefully I wouldn't wake up. And I woke up lying on the garage floor next to the car still running. I don't know how long I was lying there. Don't know how I got there, you know. So like there's so many little miracles where God saved my life, you know, and I didn't see it then because I was so clouded.
And at that stage, were you having any contact with your kids?
No. If I spoke to my children once a year for 5 minutes on the phone, it was a lot.
And was that because you couldn't bring yourself to speak to them or they just weren't interested?
No, it was from my side, you know, the guilt and the shame. And when I did speak to them, it's like I didn't know what to say because I didn't know them, you know. So it was, again, the roles reversed. Like I didn't know my parents and I didn't know what to say to them. Yeah, I found myself in that same boat with my children, you know.
Of course, because you don't know how to make connections. And especially when you're using no connection.
No, nothing.
So, wow, that suicide attempt. And as you said, God shows up in ways that you never expect it.
No.
And so, wow, that's crazy stuff. So now you are in the thick of drug abuse. And you're not speaking to your children. You're living in a little town in the Cape.
Yeah.
And you've just been kicked out of the video store and the relationship is over. And now life is still continuing on a downward spiral. When about did you get into recovery then? Because you've been clean for 4 years.
Yes. So it was just after that suicide attempt when she was away for the weekend to her parents. So, you know, like I made my way back into the house and I just fell on my knees and I was like, God, I can't. I need help. So she had liked a rehab center on her Facebook probably a couple of months before that. And in my crazy mind, I was like, why would you like a rehab? What's going on here? What are you doing behind my back, kind of thing, you know? And as I was on my knees, this started playing over and over in my mind. And when she got back, I was like, I need help. You know, I know the relationship is over, but, you know, like I have nowhere to go and I have this problem. Like, can we contact that rehab that you liked on your Facebook page? And she was amazingly so willing to help me, you know. And today, you know, as crazy as what it is that I got with her being the half sister to my ex. I mean, that's just sick,
Which
know?
ex is this? Your husband or
No,
one of your
my
girlfriends?
girlfriend from George.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And today I believe in my heart, and I know that, you know, God used her. She was my gateway to recovery.
Right.
You know, and so we spoke to or she spoke to the counselor at the rehab in Pretoria. Can I mention the rehab's name?
I don't know if that's okay with NA, but it's up to you.
So I went to this rehab,
Yeah.
you know, and that's where my journey on recovery started. But I went there thinking that I'm going to go and fix everything that I'd done wrong and that I'd broken, you know, and discovering, because I thought, well, they're just going to teach me how to say no to alcohol and drugs and I'll be okay. And, you know, discovering that I'm the problem and I have this disease of addiction, you know, and here's my solution. If I just work this solution, I'm going to be okay. If I just do, you know, A, B, C, D, 5 little simple things, I'm going to be okay. So that's what I did. At first, I was in so much denial.
Yeah.
You know, and they were like, surrender, surrender. And I was like, what do you mean? I am, yeah, you know. And eventually, again, you know, I got it. And then but it's funny, you know, all my life I knew that if I lived the life with God, it would be a good life.
Yes.
But when I got to rehab, I was still so self-centered that I just wanted to get some clean time and then go back home and fix everything, you know, that I didn't even think about God. And I met God again through my program that I get to work, you know, and 8 months into it, I relapsed because I took over again, you know, and
I mean, God wasn't there.
yeah, I took over my will, you know, not following suggestions, not doing those 5 little simple things, manipulated my way back into my ex's life, you know, still very sick. And that just shows me that, you know, that first reason why I came into rehab, or, you know, just to get some clean time and then go back, is exactly what played out at the end.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks into it, not using, I just used because we broke up. And then I used, and I was like, I'll show you, you know. And coming back, I said, well, I've got nothing else. Let me do this for me and let me see what happens.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, you know. I did my program, you know, those 5 little simple things. I became honest with my sponsor and with myself, you know, and my life has been just amazing, you know, what God has done for me and what this program of Narcotics Anonymous has done for me has been mind-blowing. You know, I truly believe that I would never live this life. I was supposed to live that kind of life. So just live it, die, you know, rot. That's what I truly believed. And today it's like totally the opposite, you know. I got to make amends to my children through this program, and that was such a beautiful process, you know, and I had to sit and hear the harsh reality and their truth of what I did, leaving and not phoning them and not being in their lives, what that did to them, you know. But today I have an amazing relationship with my children, you know, my son and my daughter. I'm a grandmother of 3 grandchildren, you know. My daughter just recently had a little girl.
Congratulations.
And, you know, it's like I'm a part of this, you know, where before I would never be a part of it. You know, and yeah, I am. I'm a granny, you know. I have my daughter, my son in my life. And, you know, even though they're not with me in Pretoria, but we communicate once a week over the phone. They have consistency from me in their lives, something they never had, you know. And I have goals, you know, and I've achieved them one by one.
Amazing.
You know, my friends would have conversations about, you know, buying a home, and I just never took part in that conversation because that just wasn't in my life, you know. And here I am planning on buying my own property next year, you know. The job that I have got is just, I've been with one company from being unemployable from being a prostitute. I have a stand at 6. What grade is that? 8.
Grade 7.
7, yeah.
No, grade 8. You're right. Grade 8.
Yeah. I left school because school wasn't for me. I wanted to be in the pub. That's where I wanted to be. And I truly also believe when I came into recovery, I was like, oh, what job am I going to get?
Yeah.
With what I have behind my name, I'm going to be lucky if I become a packer at Checkers. But that fear was so real, and I knew that I couldn't go back to where I've come from.
Yeah.
So I still had to walk through that fear. And today, there's talk of me being the sales manager at our company.
Wow, that's incredible. That is truly success.
It's miracles.
It's
miracles. Miracles.
Absolutely.
And all I do is I trust God.
Sure.
I show up every day. I do the next right thing.
Just for today.
Yeah. And the gifts of recovery are just flowing one after the next, and I get to share that with other addicts like me. And that's a beautiful gift, because look at my story, look where I come from, and look what I've been through, and look where I am today. And how did I get here? I do 5 simple things.
It's amazing, Helen.
It's a beautiful
what a beautiful story, really. And I wish you a clean and serene day for the rest of your life.
Thank you.
Really, that's fabulous. And your family, they've accepted that you're gay and you living your truth, and the taboo that they possibly grew up with around gay relationships. How does that sit with them?
Yes, I have 2 amazing kids. I really do. They love me, for me, and we talk openly about my addiction. About me being gay. They've met one of my girlfriends, my ex, and they loved her. And they're like, Mom, it's time. Like, when are you going to get somebody? And so they're very happy for me that I'm going into this relationship now. They don't know about me being a prostitute, so we'll just leave this podcast in God's hands.
Thank you. Wow, that was so incredibly brave of you. And I know we did have a chat about it. And thank you for your courage, your strength and your courage. I really appreciate that so much. But as you said, this is your story.
Yeah.
And this is your truth.
Definitely is.
So I take a deep breath and just appreciate your courage.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you. So, Helen, it's been an absolute privilege to talk to you, to hear of your immense struggles in your life, your traumas that you've been through, and certainly going through a process of a hard time dealing with your sexuality and accepting your sexuality in a time where it was just taboo, having to navigate that together with a choice in life which you were not happy with, especially with the prostitution as a way of just living, making a means to live financially, having to live with that, and that in itself is trauma. And then going through the drug addiction, the lies, the cheating, the unmanageability of your life, the suicide attempts. You've been through an absolute fortune, and then for you to be clean for 4 years, it's a massive, massive feat that you've achieved. So I just think you're fabulous.
Thank you.
I think you're brave. You're a warrior. You're also a goddess.
We all are.
Yes.
Yeah.
But some of us don't realize that we are, and we don't realize we have the potential to be. And well done for living your truth. I'm really in awe of you.
Thank you, Tracy. Means a lot.
So have a fabulous weekend, and I wish you so much luck on your journey.
Thank you.
In discovering more about yourself.
I'm super excited. I really am,
And I wish you luck in your relationship.
Thank you.
Wish you love and connection.
Yeah. We just got to teach that little 6-year-old Helen
Oh,
that
yes.
it's okay.
It's going to be a fabulous
And,
journey.
yeah. I look forward to doing it.
100%.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. And thank you for being present here. All the best.